Oh, it's another day here at the Comeback Team Studios. And you're watching another episode of Interesting Times on the Bek Lover Podcast, where I gather all the stories, all the news, all the heartbreaking, inspiring, and tragic and interesting news and gossip from around the world. I do all the work, so you don't have to. I sift through hundreds of stories every single day across the globe. So if you want to know what's going on, you're in the right place. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Check me out on every platform from YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, and anywhere podcasts are listened to. But you can watch these episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Rumble. Check out my social media handles at beklover.com. And also, my Instagram is popping, and I want to celebrate that we passed the 100,000 followers mark. And I want to thank all of you for staying tuned and being loyal. And I just really want to say thank you and celebrate, because it's been 5 years in the making, and we're finally starting to get some traction. And that's thanks to people like you. I truly appreciate you. Drop a comment and let me know how you're feeling. I also want to let you know I just filmed this show, and I don't have my tech in, and there was no audio. So I am now doing this for the second time, and it was a very emotional episode. I'm so mad that the audio didn't get picked up. So here I am doing it again for the second time, literally the second time. I'm going to spend another God knows how much time going through everything I just did all over again, because the audio did not come through on the last episode. I hope you guys know and girls know how much work I put into this podcast, and any support or help you could give me is greatly appreciated. I will be launching the Comeback Team podcast also, where I will be discussing with people about their lives and what they've been through. Some of the most fascinating people you'll ever hear talking about their lives and the crazy things that they've been through. So make sure you stay tuned for that as I get ready to launch another season of the Comeback Team. And now, I want to give a warning that the next two stories are very hard to talk about. I broke down on the first episode, so maybe God didn't want you guys to see me crying. But I hate the fact that I even have to talk about this again. So if you are sensitive to hearing about children and bad things happening to them, fast forward about 50, maybe 5 minutes from this point, and I'm going to get into some pretty heavy news, and then it'll get lighter as the episode goes on. I really hope, with the exception of innocent children around the world, I hope God destroys this planet with a meteorite. Even though World War III is pretty much guaranteed to happen very soon, I'm not sad. I'm not sad at all, because I'm tired of reading and seeing and watching the destruction, the loss of life, the way we treat fellow human beings, the way some people can even treat their own children. My next story is just horrific. Mom and boyfriend accused of horrific abuse and murder of their 6-year-old boy face life in prison. This is a picture of Chulo. The only crime this 6-year-old did was being born to a mother who was not a mother. She was an animal. I hope they destroy her in prison. I hope they torture her the way she tortured her own son and laughed about it. I hope she lives a long life of suffering here and God doubles it in the next life. Because no one that could do something like this is salvageable, in my opinion. But God knows best. What this poor boy had to endure and what he went through, all while his mother laughed about it in text messages, is just a sign to me that we are in the end of time, where a mother has nothing, no feeling for a child. But the only way a mother could have felt like this was that this baby was probably created out of wedlock, which is why he didn't have a father and why he had another man raising him with his sick mother, and they were both sick on what they did to this child. On July 30th, responders were called to Madison Heights, Michigan home of 25-year-old Elena Rose Jennings when she reported that her 6-year-old son, Giovanni Chulo Jennings, was not breathing. After the boy was found unresponsive and ultimately succumbed to multiple injuries, the following day, Oakland County prosecutor Karen McDonald announced in a press conference Friday that the mother and her boyfriend, 32-year-old Daniel John Giacchina, were each facing up to life in prison if found guilty of murder. After spending hundreds of hours carefully sifting through the evidence in the case, what they found can only be described as horrific, explained McDonald of the review of text messages, Facebook conversations, videos, and photos. Chulo was confined, beaten, and bound to a wall using a staple gun. He was badly injured. He was not taken for medical treatment because his mother knew that a medical examination would reveal the abuse. So not only was he tortured, he was left to suffer in agonizing pain because his mother knew that her and her boyfriend would go to jail. And God knows how many times this happened to him before he passed away. According to the prosecutor's findings, the boy was confined to a pen made to sleep on a wooden slat in his mother's bedroom in their mobile home. And allegedly, with the approval from the mother, Chulo was beaten by Giacchini on multiple occasions, including in front of his two younger siblings. While that abuse sometimes happened while Jennings was at work, Jennings, that's the mother, was aware of it and approved of the physical assaults and at even times encouraged her boyfriend to abuse Chulo. Further details of the conditions of the boy were allegedly made to endure included a black curtain so he'd have no light, barricades installed on the pen, and a camera used to monitor attempts to leave the corner, drink, or even use the bathroom, deemed misbehaving by the mother. When the boyfriend was said to have used a staple gun to affix the child's clothing to the wall with his face stuck up against the corner of the room, supposedly for looking out the window in the pen area. The prosecutor explained that he sent a photo to the mom. The boyfriend sent a photo to the mom. Fucking animal. Not even an animal. Animals treat their kids better than this. Both Jennings and Gianchi laughed about the photo and Giacchini's use of the staple gun to solve the problem, in quotation marks. It was clear from the evidence, what we saw, that there was a pattern of abuse that led to Chulo's death. McDonald noted as the autopsy detailed injuries to his back, buttocks, cheeks, chin, fingers, forearms, forehead, inner mouth, inner thighs, knees, lips, scalp, shins, shoulders, temples, and thumbs prior to his death, which is attributed to blunt force trauma to his abdomen and perforated bowel following his lengthy confinement and abuse. He had pervasive bruising to his abdomen, which was also bloated and distended. He had an apparent BB gun wound to his shin. The mother claimed the boy's biological father had been in custody the day he was hospitalized. And this boy, this beautiful boy, who did nothing wrong, 6 years old, he did nothing wrong except being born. He didn't ask to be born. He didn't ask you to open your fucking legs and get pregnant and bring him into this world. But that's the problem. Like I made the video the other day, that children are being born out of lust and not love. Their parents don't have the capacity to love, and they probably come from broken homes too. And these deadly sins of lust lead to deadly events. That's why they're called deadly sins. And she took amusement in her boyfriend, not even the kid's father, abusing this kid in such a way that not even prisoners of war are treated in most countries. Beaten and shot with a BB gun and kept in darkness and sleeping on a wooden piece of wood. And then you wonder why the world is where it is. I have no more hope for humanity because we live in a time where good people are not standing up. People are not teaching their children to have morals, to protect their temple, to not just sleep with anyone. And there are repercussions to these deadly sins. And this boy, may he rest in peace, lost his life because we live in a generation of bastards. We live in a time where so many children are born out of wedlock that they are full of rage. It's very interesting when you study Islam. One of the signs of the end of the world is that so many children would be born out of wedlock that those children themselves would be full of rage and they would take it out on the world. And that is exactly the time we are living in. We are living in the time of the bastard, the loveless generation, the generation of children that are being brought up by people that do not know how to show them love or care for them. And this is why they don't care about anything. We live in a horrific time. And for those of you that have children, if you do not love your children, if they have become a burden, please give them up for adoption. Please do anything, but don't let these types of things happen to them. Please get help. Please write me and I'll find you help. Another sign of the times that we're living in, especially here in the United States of America, is a man was killed by another man who lived next door to him just because his 2-year-old daughter, who doesn't know right from wrong, touched some of the guy's lawn with her hands. This father now is dead, as you see on the left. This man with the glasses holding his 2-year-old daughter is dead, and she no longer has a father just because she played on the other guy's lawn. This piece of shit on the right, this fucking scumbag, pulled out a weapon, an ex-con, by the way, a felon, and opened fire and killed this man in front of his own home just because his 2-year-old daughter went onto his lawn. This man's name is Deverex Christopher Johnson. He's 47 years old. And by the way, both of these stories take place in Michigan. What the hell is going on in Michigan? Stands accused of 1 count of homicide, of premeditated murder in the first degree. The incident occurred late Saturday morning, several minutes before noon, on Cornell Street in Canton Township, a large centrally located municipality of Wayne County that plays the role of suburbs to both Detroit directly to the east and Ann Arbor, Michigan, whereas the University of Michigan directly to the west. Officers responded to shots fired at 11:48 a.m. and described the violence as having occurred following a brief confrontation by the suspect towards the victim, both residents of the neighborhood. It is alleged that the defendant, Mr. Morris, walked down the street when he initiated a verbal argument that lasted for a brief period of time. Johnson then fired a handgun multiple times, fatally wounding Mr. Morris. He was unarmed at the time he was killed. Immediately following the shooting, the suspect barricaded himself inside his home. After issuing multiple commands, officers successfully engaged the suspect, who ultimately surrendered into police custody. Multiple neighbors, right? Takes a neighborhood to raise a child. Multiple neighborhoods told the TV station that they had less than savory interactions with the defendant, generally avoiding him, walking on eggshells, or otherwise acting with caution around the man, deemed something of a combative nuisance in the years he lived in the area. You live in a time where you must be vigilant. If you can tell someone is an EDP, emotionally disturbed person, who probably came from a broken home himself, you need to get out of that environment or move or get away from these people any way you can and keep your children away from them. This should have never happened, and it's senseless. Skeletons of a woman clutching coins found an invaluable discovery at Pompeii site. Pompeii, Italy is from the year 79 AD. There was a large volcano in this Campania region of Italy. It turned the town into a museum, literally. Everyone that lived there was turned into statues by the volcanic ash that even captured their faces as they were turned to stone. They've discovered even more now of ruins. You know, they found more skeletons there, but this one was special because they found a lot of gold, and these two skeletons were clutching on to the gold. Even in their death, human beings want to bring everything with them, but you're not going to bring nothing with you. We still have the same sickness. Billionaires that can't even spend the money they have, even if they tried. Let people starve instead of using their money. They're going to wish they could come back to this life when they face God on that day and have used their money for good instead of evil. But I guess it's been a sickness of ours since day one, because even almost 2,000 years ago, these people, instead of worrying about getting out of there, were holding on to their money and their gold. And there are shots of the coins that were found and the position they were found in. Very fascinating if you are watching this episode. And I promise you, you will, because my production is very good for a guy that's never done this. But forget that. What they found in Peru is even more interesting. That was from 79 AD. This is from up to almost 4,000 years ago. Archaeologists have unearthed human remains believed to be more than 3,000 years old in a stretch of barren land in northern Peru that appears to have housed the ceremonial temple honoring the gods of ancient local culture. This is reported by Reuters. The funerals bundles were found nestled between some mud and stone walls near a valley in the dry coastal Peru province in South American nation's La Libertad region, home to many major ancient cultures over the millennia, including the most important, the Incans. So you can see these skeletal remains. They're pretty well preserved. This allows us to have a clear idea of the cultural evolution in this area, Castillo said, adding that finding 4 remains in such a small space meant there could be, many more buried there. It also shows the importance of the space. People have for a long time wanted to be buried in temples because they are very sacred spaces to them. Peru, rich in archaeological sites of various ages, was home to more than 500 years ago the Incan Empire that dominated a sprawling territory in the southern part of the continent, from southern Ecuador and Colombia to central Chile, until the arrival of the conquistadors, the Spanish. Researchers in La Libertad last month announced the discovery of the skeletons of 11 high-class, dating to 800 years ago. These were discovered near Chinchan, the largest mud citadel in the Americas, built by the Chimu culture, whose rule spans swaths of Peru's northern coast. Interesting day for archaeology indeed, my friends. A good story, okay? A happy story involving kids. These 2 toddlers were ejected out of a vehicle and survived the crash. And this happened in the Houston, Texas area, in Harrison to be exact. You can see the father, a Jeep Wrangler flipped, the kids were ejected, and then they were recorded actually walking after the accident. They seem to be okay. This happened on the I-10 East Freeway. They do remain hospitalized. On Sunday, the children ages 1 and 4 were traveling inside a Jeep driven by their father when it collided with another vehicle. The impact flipped and sent them flying. The father is quoted as saying, Victor Cordova, "At first he feared the worst. I thought they actually passed away. I thought they were dead. He was relieved when he saw the children stirring. Incredibly, they were not hit by the other vehicles." That is a hand of God moment, kind of like how Donald Trump survived. Unless it's your time, nothing can kill you, my friends. Not an atomic weapon, until he, all glory be to the one above the heavens and the earth, says it's your time, just like my cousin who was shot 28 bullets. No medical attention, 3 days on the side of a mountain before he made it. Crawling on his hands, is alive today to talk about it. My first cousin. Unless God says it's your time, no weapon shall prosper, no enemy can destroy you, nothing can kill you. They had people that survived Hiroshima that were right in the blast radius, and people 1,000 miles away died from radiation poisoning. People that call it close calls with death. No, it just wasn't your time until he says it's your time. There was a massive data breach. Okay, nothing's safe no more. If your data's out there, you're not safe nowhere. Columbus, Ohio, security experts Connor Goodwolf said that the personal data of hundreds of thousands of private citizens is now on the dark web after a massive cyber attack on the city. Tuesday morning, Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther said the data posted by hackers on the dark web was not usable because it was encrypted or corrupted. However, a cybersecurity expert not only said that it's not true, but revealed what personal information is available. He showed like it's already out on the dark web. Cybersecurity expert Connor Goodwolf, also another word for hacker, that's why he's not using his real name, chose for this interview and is not his legal name, said that the personal data of hundreds of thousands of private citizens is now on the dark web. Those citizens are anyone who swiped their driver's licenses at City Hall in the last 10 years. So you went to pay your bill, pay your taxes, whatever. You thought you're safe. You're inside of a government building. Your data is out there now in Columbus, Ohio. You better be vigilant. Biden administration approves $20 billion, $20 billion more for Israel. We don't have an Iron Dome, just like Donald Trump said on X with his interview with Elon Musk the other day. We don't have an Iron Dome, but we can send billions of dollars and billions of dollars and keep sending to Ukraine, Israel, Ukraine, Israel, Ukraine, Israel. How you doing, Americans? Are you doing good? How much does gas cost? How much are your electric bills? How much is food costing you? How much tax money are they taking out to send it for destruction, not construction? Are you doing good? Do you feel good? Are you happy where your money is going when they take it out of your paycheck? I just leave a comment. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just asking a question. The U.S. has approved $20 billion in arms sales, okay? Because they haven't blown up enough Palestinians lately. I guess they got to kill a few more, just like these two that died. Palestinian newborn twins killed as father obtained birth certificate. So this story went viral on the internet. Palestinian father went to go get their birth certificates, which I don't even know how the fuck they're doing that in the middle of a war. Goes to get the children's birth certificates. By the time he comes back, Israel dropped a bomb, took out the mother and the two children. Clearly non-combatants, clearly not fucking Hamas, clearly a beautiful moment taken away from them instantly. Imagine going from celebrating life, newborn babies, to twins, right? The two babies, twins, born, and instantly you have to bury them. My God. But that's why we saw the reaction that we did online. And here is the father holding the gift certificates with tears streaming down his eyes. This was the initial video where he finds out and he's going crazy, like he completely lost his mind. And this continues to happen, and there is no collateral damage with God. Hey guys over there, I know you believe you're chosen, but there's no collateral damage when it comes to innocent life. Chosen or not chosen, goy or not goy. Same thing with Muslims. You kill an innocent Jew, a woman or a child, which you're strictly commanded not to do, like the people that did it on October 7th. You will go to hell in Islam and in Christianity. And this will continue to happen because it needs to be solved once and for all. The Palestinians should be given land, equal amount. The Jews can live on one side, and the world should monitor that peace. But instead, the world sits back. We arm one side while they eliminate the other side. Not fair. And what's not going to be fair is when your children get drafted to go fight in what I believe is World War III, brewing and boiling, about to spill over. The U.S. deploys ships to the Middle East as conflict between Iran-backed Hezbollah and Israel escalates. David Dowd, a fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, gives an update on the latest development of the growing instability. Would you let your children go fight on foreign lands? Do you think that this makes America safer? Do you care about any of this? Leave a comment. I'm very curious where my audience stands. Another nice story, an 8-year-old tries to help her dad fight off a robber with a bat. This was captured in a Twin City liquor store. And in this, we can see that the girl swings a bat and helps her dad, who's wrestling a robber, and they both survived, thank God, and nothing bad happened to them. So that happened in Twin City. Where is that? I think that's in Minnesota. It's in Minnesota. The people of Sudan are starving. There's a civil war going on there. 25 million have officially been declared in a state of famine. We sit back. This is why all these horrible things happen. The people of the world, we need to wake up. We need to unite. We need to stop what the fuck is going on, because I just can't take it anymore, and I know you can't either. Huge drug bust, DEA, Atlanta, Georgia, 2,300 pounds of meth. It was hidden under celery that was being trucked north. And they knew that it wasn't, I guess they were following, surveilling, but 2,300 pounds of meth coming to kill you, your kids, and people that take drugs. Good job to the DEA on that one. A Pentagon employee was arrested on the way to the airport. Documents marked top secret. Okay. U.S. citizen and a Turkish citizen, dual citizenship. He's accused of bringing documents. He was on his way to Mexico. Sounds like he was trying to escape. He was on his way to Mexico. His backpack had some of these documents in it. And now he's under house arrest while they investigate what he was doing and charge him with espionage, I guess, or whatever. For those of you that drive electric vehicles, you did it to avoid paying high gas prices. But guess what? The government doesn't care. They're going to start charging electric vehicle owners taxes to make up for all the money they're losing because people are buying electric vehicles, which is that they told you to do so that they could save the world and save the climate of our world. You're about to be paying taxes because you did what they told you to do. They're taxing everything. And they say that they need to tax electrical vehicle drivers because they need to pay their fair share. Pay their fair share? What about the tolls in Pennsylvania and the taxes that you take out for income tax and state tax and income tax and tax this and tax that, and you tax us soon to fart? And that's what they want. They want to tax us on everything. You got played for buying an electric vehicle. Pennsylvania is one of the first states to elect a new electrical vehicle tax. And you did what you were supposed to. But that's what they want. They want to tax us on everything. And for those of you that love crypto, electric vehicles is how they're going to enslave us. Because if you don't obey, they will turn your electronic money off and your car won't start. So this is another good reason why we should fucking get rid of electrical vehicles, in my opinion, and not buy them. And I won't be. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida says he will step down next month. He's not seeking re-election, and he's the president of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. I guess that's what liberal presidents do. They don't seek re-election. Maybe he was hanging out with Joe Biden. I don't know. Canadian wildfires bring haze back to New York City and could last for several days. I went through this last year. It was absolutely horrific. And the fact that it might actually come back again is just unacceptable. You Canadians need to figure this out quickly before we Americans get really pissed, and maybe we might have to just freaking cut all ties with you forever. Plus, I hate your prime minister, Trudeau. He's a fucking loser. There's these ants in New York. They're taking over. They're from Europe originally, and they are exploding in growth, and they've adapted in some ways from what the researchers are telling us. And I had a lot more energy to read this story the first time I did this show. I do not have the energy right now. There's a lot of ants in New York. Cool. My Dominicanos, I love you. I've grown up with you. Shout out to all my Dominican friends I grew up with. Shout out to my boy Anthony Hernandez. Shout out to Jose Bracero. Shout out to Jose and Chris Rajir. Shout out to my brother Jason and Anthony Rodriguez. Yo, Dominicanos, I grew up with you. I love you. You're loyal. You're funny. You know how to have a good time. But you think when you throw a parade, you would know how to have a good time. I've always had a good time with my Dominicans. So what happened during the parade? You guys are the kings of throwing parties, man. Cops shut down New York City Dominican Day Parade as unruly crowds swarmed 6th Avenue and teen slashed a 65-year-old. So it started out good, and then chaos erupted. People got arrested, and they shut the parade down. But something amazing did happen at the Dominican Day Parade. One of your people, who I love, one of your people cornered Chuck Schumer, okay? We got to find this video. Dominican. Give me 1 second. Bear with me, folks. It's my second take doing this. Okay, here we go. Chuck Schumer. And let's play the audio on this. They were doing the parade, and someone came right past Chucky Boy and gave him. Where is that video, man? Can't find it. There it is. Found it. Here we go. Chuck Schumer gets cornered by a Dominican.
Hey, Chuck, you know Dominicans actually hate your guts, right? Because you're a scumbag. You know that, right? You ruined New York. You're a loser. You're a loser, buddy. You're a loser.
This is hilarious. During the Dominican Day Parade in New York, Chuck Schumer gets called out in public. And maybe if more people called out these corrupt Democrats in public, maybe things would get done. That's what we should see with Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris. The list goes on and on and on. Man, I could watch this clip over and over and over, but we only have 60 seconds, so...
I agree. Chuck Schumer was in power when I finished college 20 years ago. He was old back then, and he's still in power, well past the age of retirement. That should tell you the level of corruption these people have. They don't want to let go of their power. They don't give a shit about us. And I'm glad more and more people are waking up, especially from the Latino community. You guys are being, in many ways, in my opinion, they're using you. They give you some benefits and then they lock you into this fucking system where if you make just a little bit more money, you lose all the benefits they gave you. And it's hard to rise up. And it's not, I'm not blaming, like, it's everyone. It's not just Latinos. I just want to clarify. Every community, but like, it's hard. And sometimes when you're first generation American, you don't speak the language well. You're not watching the news. You have no idea really what the fuck is going on. And these guys show up at every immigrant group. They come to the Albanian shit too. Chuck Schumer was there. I didn't want to see his fucking face. When we had our little gathering a couple months ago in the Bronx, and I agree, we need to call these people out. Wherever they are, especially career politicians. Period. So what else we got here? Migrant stuff, right? New York City is completely finished, in my opinion. Migrant released on $500 bail in child rape cases arrested by ICE agents, okay? They released this guy who's accused of raping a child, who's not even here legally, on a $500 bail. And he committed more crime. So then ICE went in and scooped him up. So I guess they're finally doing something right. Speaking of these migrants, hotels are full in New York because we're paying for it. You, New Yorker, you're paying. They want to put a toll around New York City, but we have $5 billion to spend on housing people that crossed into this country illegally, are committing crimes like raping children, and you're paying for it, and now they want to put another tax on top of another tax because $5 billion to put them up at beautiful hotels in New York that should be full of tourists and business people. They should be using this money to repair our infrastructure. No. It's got to be used to house these migrants that came here and are committing crime every single day, even though they have shelter, food, and a lot of things that a lot of immigrants never got when they came to America. How do you feel about that? You feel good? Because $5 billion, and that amount could double by next year. Maybe 10 million. Sorry, 10 billion. A food bank in New Zealand gave out candy, but it was actually meth, and anyone took the candy, they could have died. It was that high of a dose of meth. I don't understand how that mix-up happens, but it did. It was donated by an unknown member of the public and was accidentally, it was either that or a deliberate attack is what it was. I don't think that was an accident. August 19th, you have a beautiful super blue moon. Please make sure you look up to the skies anywhere in the world and see this because life is short and it's such a beautiful thing to witness. Scientists have figured out that 44 and 60, these two age numbers are when the most aging occurs, where you'll notice the most wrinkles, the most. So I got 2 years left before I get fucked, physically how I look, and then 60. You could read about this article if you're interested in it. I'm tired, guys. My second take. I love you. This is alarming. Wow, alarm. WHO declares Mpox outbreak in Africa a global health emergency as a new form of the virus spreads. It has mutated. It's attacking the brain. Could it make it to our shores? Could this lead to another shutdown that destroys the entire fabric of the world forever again? Because one more of those and we're finished. Bird flu are now detected in cats in Colorado. The birds are getting their revenge on cats. Watch out for that also. Could pop up right around November. And travelers to South America are warned to take protective measures against sloth-borne virus. There's a virus coming out of sloths. So I know they're cute, and my girl loves them. We don't have any, but she would definitely hug one. Well, if you're traveling to those countries and you see one, just don't touch them because by now they're transmitting some kind of virus that's going to kill you. So with that said, my first take was a lot better. Guys, I'm exhausted. I had a long day, and I did this twice because I don't want to let you down, and I want to try to broadcast every single day. So make sure you stay tuned here. I'm always going to bring you the most interesting news so you don't have to look and worry about it. And I'm going to try to do this every single day, even when I'm on the road. I now have the equipment to go mobile. Thank you for staying tuned to the Bek Lover Podcast. I'll see you next time in the interesting world that we live in.